In a future on the brink of war, mechanic Garth Rivers becomes an unlikely key to peace with an alien race. When he learns that his biology is essential for a fellow engineer's survival, forbidden love takes root amid chaos. Will he choose harmony over personal sacrifice? Are love and duty meant to collide, or can they coexist? If you dream of entering universes or planets where humans shine when they meet unknown races, subscribe, turn on notifications, and you will be happy every day with new wonderful sci-fi stories. Well, let's go. The cold hum of machinery surrounded Garth Rivers as he tightened a bolt on a retrofitted starship in the bustling dock of the Nova station. Here, amidst the rusting outer hulls and gleaming engines of various spacecraft, he found a semblance of peace. The scent of burnt metal and the tangible buzz of energy made the air thick, heavy with the aspirations of interstellar travelers. A cacophony of voices, human, alien, and everything in between, swirled around him, each conversation a unique thread in the tapestry of the cosmos. Garth, a tall, broad-shouldered man with tousled dark hair and piercing blue eyes, had always preferred the company of machines to that of people. He was skilled, pragmatic, and possessed an uncanny intuition for mechanics, making him the go-to guy in this melting pot of species. But everything changed the moment he spotted her, Sirius. She stood out amidst the throng, a stunning engineer from Tarrian Prime. Her striking silver hair cascaded down her back, glowing against the neon lights of the station. With a lithe frame accentuated by a tailored jumpsuit that hinted at her athleticism, she embodied strength and precision. Her emerald eyes, filled with urgency, scanned the crowd for Garth, seemingly cutting through the chaos to find him. "Garth," she gasped, her voice barely above a whisper, yet it pierced through the din of the station. He could hear the panic lacing her tone as she darted towards him. "I need your help. It's urgent." Surprise washed over Garth, causing his heart to quicken. "What's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost." His brow furrowed, concern etching deeper lines into his forehead. "It's me. I'm running out of time." Her words tumbled out in haste. She leaned closer, urgency coiling in the air between them. "My biology, it depends on your pheromones. If I don't get them..." Garth staggered back momentarily, his mind racing. Panic gripped him, not just because her revelation was unexpected, but because it sparked feelings he had tried to suppress. He had admired her brilliance from afar, the way she could coax machines into functionality almost effortlessly. Their brief exchanges had always been charged with something unspoken, something profound. "Why me?" he asked, confusion splattering across his face like fresh paint on an untouched canvas. "There must be others. No one else is immune to the crisis that looms," Sirius insisted, desperation etched across her features. As she spoke, Garth noticed a vulnerability in her gaze, an unguarded moment that laid bare her fear and need. The weight of their shared fates hung heavily in the air, a taut line connecting them against the backdrop of cosmic uncertainty. Garth's heart raced, not only with trepidation but with an inexplicable pull toward her, as if destiny had woven their threads together in this moment. "What crisis?" he pressed, anxiety pooling in his stomach. Sirius took a deep breath, visibly shaking. "The coalition of Tarrian has been monitoring human genetic sequences, and they've discovered something concerning within your biology. Something that could be the key to our survival, yet also a weapon against us. If we don't act fast, they'll weaponize the very connection between our kinds." The looming silhouette of Tarrian Prime eclipsed the vibrant stars above as Garth stepped into its grand hallways. Opulent arches carved from luminescent crystal glowed softly, casting ethereal reflections on the polished metallic floors. Towers of ancient architecture combined with cutting-edge technology narrated a story of a civilization steeped in history yet on the brink of catastrophe. The air buzzed with a palpable tension, thick and suffocating. As Garth walked deeper into the complex, he was struck by the stark contrast of the sleek technology embedded within the opulence. Holographic displays floated midair, showing flickers of political debates between Tarrian officials, their voices rising and falling like waves crashing against a rocky shore. He caught a glimpse of their alien features, long, delicate necks and luminescent skin patterns that shifted hues with their emotions. Their expressions echoed the fear that gripped Garth's heart. He was a human, and he felt like an intruder in their sacred space. "Who is this human?" one of the officials barked, his voice resonating with authority, erasing any speculative murmurs in the throng nearby. "You are the source of our engineer's plight?" Garth stammered, panic rolling through him in waves. "I'm just here to help Sirius, too." "To what?" The official spat, his tone laced with skepticism. "To jeopardize our existence? Your very biology holds the potential for destruction, an affront to our people." Garth's hands trembled as he felt the weight of their gaze like a heavy shroud, a mix of curiosity and fear. He glanced around the chamber, where whispers morphed into a cacophony of chaos. He grasped the implications of their words. He was unwittingly woven into a conspiracy far beyond his comprehension. "Your relationship poses a threat," another official continued, drawing closer. The glimmering emblem of Terria Prime adorning his robe seemed to glow ominously as he spoke. "If the military factions learn of this bond, they will exploit it. You cannot remain here. This union must end." "No," Garth shot back, his voice gaining strength. "We're not abandoning each other. Sirius entered just then, appearing like a fragile wisp against the backdrop of overwhelming architecture. Her skin, once a vibrant shade of emerald, looked as if it were peeling under the weight of despair. "Garth," she cried out. "We have to leave. It's a trap." The officials exchanged glances, and in that fleeting moment, Garth caught a glimpse of their fear of losing control or igniting a conflict that could spell doom for both species. Sirius rushed into his arms, and in that embrace, he felt a surge of determination. They were stronger together, but the question loomed: what price would they pay for that strength? "They'll use our bond against us," Sirius whispered, her voice quaking with intensity. "We must find a way to keep it hidden. We can't let them divide us." Garth's mind raced as he calculated the implications. "Then we run?" His heart thundered at the thought, every fiber of his being rebelling against the idea of leaving behind the only connection that enriched his life. "But where do we go? This place is crawling with their guards." Sirius's eyes sparkled with an ember of audacity. "There are factions within Tarria that would support us. The wild nomads, they're mostly untouched by the politics inside the palace. If we can reach them, we may yet forge an alliance." "An alliance?" Garth repeated, skepticism creeping into his thoughts as he scanned the lavish hall, finding it increasingly difficult to breathe amid the tension. "How can we trust anyone outside this? They could just as easily turn on us." Sirius squeezed his hand, grounding him in the tumult of uncertainty. "It's our only option. We embrace the risks. Love is a fire that will not be extinguished easily, but we must move while we have the chance." As Garth weighed her words, every instinct screamed at him to act. The swelling tide of chaos would drown them if they lingered. "All right, let's get out of here," he murmured, determination igniting within him. They couldn't afford to be paralyzed by fear. They needed to pursue their only hope. With urgency fueling their movements, Garth and Sirius sprinted through the vast corridors of Tarria Prime, where golden chandeliers hung precariously above them, illuminating their haste. They darted between pillars, using the shifting shadows as their allies. Each heartbeat felt synchronized as they maneuvered through the throngs of officials, their conversations punctuated by rising tensions and whispered threats. Stay close, Garth urged, glancing over his shoulder for any sign of the ominous officials. But moments felt like hours, and the weight of time bore down heavily on them. They slipped into a back passage, the cool air a refreshing respite against the weight of their anxiety. The narrow corridor twisted unexpectedly, unexplored by the guard's eyes. Yet the muffled sounds from the distance suggested that they were close to being discovered. "Do you know where this leads?" Garth whispered urgently as they ducked behind an alcove. In the silence, he could hear the rush of their breathing, a reminder of their shared vulnerability. "Not exactly," Sirius admitted, her brows knitted in concentration. "But I recall a legend, something about a hidden gateway leading to the wilds. If we can find it." Suddenly, the ground trembled as an explosion echoed from the depths of the palace, shaking them to their core. The labyrinth of shadows became alive, and through the chaos, Garth glimpsed the green glow of Tarrian military units converging towards their position. "We need to move, now." With adrenaline pumping, the two launched forward, desperately seeking their escape. Ahead, a faint glimmer of light beckoned, growing brighter with each step until they stumbled into an ancient chamber adorned with forgotten murals, an echo of Terria's lost history. The strangeness of the atmosphere enveloped them as they crossed the threshold, revealing a circular archway inlaid with enigmatic symbols glowing faintly. Sirius stepped closer, tracing her fingers over the glyphs, her breath heavy with awe. "These depict the fables of our people, tales of unity among alien species." "This must be it," Garth interrupted, breathless. "It has to lead us to safety. Or deeper into danger," Sirius replied, a hint of doubt clouding her emerald eyes. "Whatever it leads to, we have no choice," Garth stated, grounding them both in purpose. "We can't let them take us apart. Keep moving." As they stepped into the luminous doorway, a strange sensation engulfed them, like stepping into a gentle stream where reality warped and shimmered. The stars above shone brilliantly as Garth and Sirius fled the towering edifices of the Tarrian palace, their hearts echoing the wild rhythm of a looming conflict. The dense jungle of Tarria Prime enveloped them in a cacophony of sounds. Strange calls reverberated through the air, and the shimmer of bioluminescent plants flickered like ghosts in the night. Garth felt an adrenaline spike that propelled him forward, the urgency of their predicament driving him onward. "Who would have thought we'd end up here?" Garth managed to joke, breathing heavily while scanning their surroundings, aware that danger could lurk just beyond the foliage. He attempted humor to combat the rising tide of anxiety washing over him. "Not exactly how I imagined our date," Sirius replied, a wry smile breaking her worried exterior. Yet, in her emerald eyes, Garth saw the storm of uncertainty swirling beneath the surface. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, the thick undergrowth closed in around them, casting eerie shadows that danced with the light of distant stars. Suddenly, they stumbled upon a vibrant clearing, where an encampment teemed with life. Colorful tents, woven from vibrant fabrics, flapped gently in the mild breeze. The inhabitants, nomadic Tarrians, spoke a melodic language that floated through the air in a harmonious blend of sounds. "Welcome," called a tribal leader with wide, expressive markings painted across his face. His stature was imposing, yet his voice was warm, filled with wisdom that came from years of navigating the unpredictable nature of their world. "We see you carry burdens greater than most." Garth felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. "We're seeking refuge," he admitted, the exhaustion weighing upon his limbs. "The factions of Tarria want to tear us apart." The leader regarded them thoughtfully. "You come seeking a place to hide, but hiding will not protect you from the storm brewing over Tarria Prime. Together, you hold a secret of ancient bonds, a connection that transcends your origin." Garth and Sirius exchanged glances, an unspoken understanding passing between them. The gravity of their shared circumstances sunk in deeper. "We can't just hide forever," Garth concluded, his voice steady with emerging determination. "We need to fight for our future. Dare to challenge what is," the leader declared, his eyes glinting with fervor. "The forest teaches us not only to survive but to thrive. Embrace your connection, for it is the key to awakening the power within and among your kind." As the night pressed on, Garth and Sirius were initiated into the culture of their hosts. They learned of the lush and complex biodiversity surrounding them, their plants creaking softly under the weight of time, the animals that thrived in the shadows, the air thick with the scent of countless flowers under the cover of night. The Tarrians had developed a rich tapestry of life and ceremonial practices that spoke to the unity of the species, reminiscent of elements they both cherished yet never fully acknowledged. Around a crackling fire, the tribal leaders shared the history of the Tarrians, how they had once united against oppressive forces seeking to exploit their lands. "We learned the power of unity," he said. "What was once thought impossible became our greatest strength." Each word hung heavily in the air, filling Garth's heart with a burgeoning sense of purpose. Sirius watched the flames dance, her gaze drifting to Garth. "Maybe they're right," she whispered, her voice a mere breath among the rustling trees. "We're stronger together than apart." "But the risks?" Garth started, anxiety gnawing at his resolve. "If we expose everything, what if it leads to more bloodshed?" "True power lies in vulnerability, Garth." Sirius leaned closer, her voice laced with urgency. "We must reveal the corruption. Let the truth be our weapon. Only then can we bring our worlds to a new dawn." In the fading glow of the fire, they shared dreams and fears, forging a bond fortified by a collective mission. Garth felt a swelling surge of purpose as he made a silent promise to protect not just Sirius but the very essence of their love, entwined in the fate of their civilizations. The nights passed, yet war brewed at their edges, a foul stench of discord wafting through the vibrant flora. Garth could sense the planet itself was shifting, gathering to witness the collision of ideologies. He and Sirius, now entwined within the community, began seeking ways to access the ancient technologies hidden deep within the sacred groves, drawing from the shared wisdom of the Tarrians. Garth found himself alongside the younger Tarrians, who carved ancient symbols on rough-hewn tablets. They depicted revolution, unity, a collective cultural unconscious yearning for freedom. He was learning quickly, soaking in the knowledge like the rich humidity of the jungle air. As whispers of imminent conflict escalated, the encampment thrived, painting their skins with harmonious symbols, a traditional rite contrasting exquisitely with the technologically advanced gear Garth had worn back at the palace. They were preparing, but for what exact outcome? No one knew, further adding to the underlying tension that surged within each soul. One night, while the stars mirrored their steadfast hearts, Garth skirted amidst the gathering of elders, overhearing a chilling conversation that soothed his doubts. "If we awaken the power, it will change everything," one of the elders murmured, his hands gesturing dramatically, illuminating a vision of unity, yet hauntingly filled with an air of treachery. "But the galaxy is littered with traitors. We cannot predict what destruction will follow." "Unity is a dream built on peril," another elder replied sternly. Garth felt a shiver run down his spine. Visions of impending war danced before his eyes. Fingers intertwined, Garth turned to Sirius, her face illuminated by the dancing firelight, a palette of hope and apprehension. Slowly, the realization dawned on them both. The line between hope and destruction was razor thin, binding their fates with strands of light and darkness. "We need to strike," Garth decided aloud, anxiety morphing into resolute determination. "The truth must be revealed. We need to rally the factions and make them understand. But what if they ignore us? Sirius's voice trembled slightly, although her gaze remained firm, unyielding. Then we make them listen, Garth suggested, feeling a pulsing energy flow through him, a defiance kindled by the spirit of the Tarrians surrounding them. We show them that we're not merely pawns waiting for the inevitable. We can dictate our future. The woodland around them hushed, as if the very air recognized the gravity of their resolve, watching and waiting. They planned to harness the ancient bond that would link both their peoples, stitching together hearts hardened by desolation with visions of an intertwined utopia, a dangerous yet beautiful dream. As the night deepened over the lush jungles of Terria Prime, the air grew thicker with tension, reflecting the turmoil that churned within both Garth and Sirius. They had found a temporary refuge among the nomads, yet the whispers of war that enveloped them were impossible to ignore. Everywhere they turned, eyes watched, some filled with suspicion, others with a glint of hope. Together, they had forged a bond stronger than the chaos surrounding them, but they had no idea how much that bond would be tested. The tribal camp, a vibrant yet precarious sanctuary, had become a living tapestry of colors and emotions. In the flickering firelight, the nomads gathered, sharing stories of ancient prophecies. Each tale spun a web around Garth's mind, casting shadows of possibility over the descents of the Tarrian faction. The tribal leader, Elder Evorin, had spoken in riddles laced with truth, warning them of the storms that brewed both within and outside their fragile alliance. Conflict stirs like the wind before the tempest, Evorin had said, his voice grave yet comforting. You, Garth, and you, Sirius, are the falcons among doves. Your winged spirits can rally or shatter the sky above us. Garth found himself reflecting on Evorin's words as Sirius paced energetically near the campfire, her features illuminated by the dance of flames. She exuded a fierce intensity, a stark contrast to her vulnerable state. The wafting fragrance of exotic herbs filled the air, but all he could focus on was the brewing storm of doubt and fear behind her fiery resolve. Garth, we must take a stand, Sirius exclaimed suddenly, her hands clenched into determined fists. If we expose the corrupt officials, we can unite our people. Her emerald eyes sparkled with unyielding determination, each flicker urging him to embrace their shared purpose. Garth felt as if the very air around them crackled with potential, yet deep down, a flicker of fear ignited at the thought of her health, deteriorating while she strategized. But what if it puts you at risk? He replied, running a hand through his disheveled hair, anxiety coiling tightly in his chest. Your health is already deteriorating, and I can't bear the thought of losing you. I won't let fear dictate my life. Sirius interrupted fiercely. Our love binds us, and together, we ignite something greater than ourselves. The power of our bond transcends mere biology, Garth. We have already shown them our strength. Let's show them that our passion can ignite a revolution. Sirius moved closer, her words wrapping around him like a safety net woven from courage. The imagery of their love serving as a catalyst for change sparked newfound courage within him. They were already symbols of unity, with their very existence embodying what both societies could achieve together. Together, we can be the light against the darkness they've spread, she declared, firelight reflecting in her eyes. Suddenly inspired, Garth envisioned the ancient technology buried beneath Terria Prime, relics of a civilization that once thrived on the principles of collaboration and understanding. It became clear to him that their mission extended beyond mere survival. It was about reviving hope. You're right, Garth said, his voice gaining strength, enthusiasm flooding his veins. We need to awaken the voices of our people. We can activate the ancient technologies and show them that collaboration is our strength. Let's remind Terria what they once knew. A united force is unrivaled. The distant echoes of voices drifted towards them as Garth and Sirius exchanged fierce glances. They drew encouragement and passion from one another, forming a bond that pulsed through the very core of their beings. The times ahead would test their spirits, but it ignited a fire fueled by their shared destiny. As dawn broke over the horizon, golden rays speared through the treetops, illuminating the path ahead. With a shared breath, they plunged into the preparations for their impending confrontation, intent on rallying the nomads behind them. Garth worked tirelessly, meticulously piecing together the fragmented remnants of ancient technology found within tribal grounds, now transformed into instruments of change. With every moment spent alongside Sirius in their makeshift workshop, crafted beneath a towering canopy of bright emerald leaves, Garth found himself navigating the blurred lines between fear and exhilaration. Sirius pushed him, her contagious spirit making every moment feel electric. They gathered precious resources from the tribe, swaths of energy crystals pulsing gently, which would soon resonate with hope and determination. However, they weren't alone in their pursuit. Changes rippled across the factions. Eyes were turning inward as alliances were questioned, and uneasy tensions began to rise like storm clouds threatening to unleash their fury. Evorin had warned them, but this was not just a mere storm. It was the gathering of armies bristling with pointed weapons and fierce ideology. That evening, as dusk settled over Tarrian Prime, news arrived from the outskirts of the camp. Scouts had witnessed the military officials conspiring with the war-driven leaders of rival factions, plotting to crush any signs of rebellion. Garth felt his heart race at the implications. Any misstep could spell disaster, and every choice now felt like a leap into the unknown. "It's time to act, Garth," Sirius said, her voice steady as she navigated their next steps in hushed tones. "We must send a message to the people. This is our last chance to bridge the divide and embrace the future before it's too late." To rally the tribes, they needed to create a signal that resonated with the core of every being under the luminous stars of Tarrian. Garth and Sirius had the backing of the nomads, the remnants of technology now pulsing in tune with their desires. Yet, as they prepared to initiate their message, uneasiness shrouded the campfire. "Garth, they'll be watching us," Sirius warned, her brow furrowing with worry. "I know," he replied, his heart thumping heavily in his chest. "We'll just have to be quick and clever. All it takes is a spark to ignite a revolution." At that moment, Garth felt the weight of their choices dawning upon him. The reality of their fractured societies loomed ominously overhead like a dark cloud of discord. They were standing at the precipice, ready to redefine the essence of love and unity, a force capable of enlightening the path ahead, but also fraught with peril. They launched their signal high into the atmosphere, waves of energy cascading outward like ripples in a pond, stress lines stretching across the horizon. The momentary silence that followed sliced through the air until the surrounding camps erupted, faces lit by glimmers of hope and possibility, rallying banners forged from fabric of stars unfurling in the wind. The air was thick with tension as Garth and Sirius stood atop the craggy height of the abandoned observatory on Tarrian Prime, overlooking the gathering storm of the impending battle. Below, a mass of warriors from both the Terran and Tarrian factions prepared for the confrontation that could either lead to peace or plunge them further into chaos. The vibrant colors of their war paint and armor clashed, but there was an underlying sense of unity wrought from their shared plight. "Garth, we can't hesitate any longer," Sirius urged, worry etched across her striking features. Her emerald eyes, always shining with determination, seemed to burn brighter with the urgency of their mission. "If we don't act now, all we've fought for will vanish in the chaos." Nodding, Garth brushed a hand through his tousled hair, trying to quell the rising tide of anxiety. He felt the weight of countless lives resting squarely on his shoulders. I know, but if we fail, we'll have not just failed ourselves, but an entire future, she interjected, her voice a fierce whisper that broke through the clouds of his doubts. Our connection, our bond, it's more than just us. It's the hope for a new beginning. As the first shots of blaster fire lit up the darkening sky, Garth felt an igniting spark of resolve within him. All right, let's do this. Together. Their fingers intertwined, a symbolic gesture that united not only their fates but the fates of the thousands gathered below. The first wave charged forth, with war cries echoing across the field like thunder. Garth and Sirius took a deep breath and leapt down, their hearts synchronizing with the rhythm of battle, fueled by adrenaline and the hope of a new dawn. They fought valiantly side by side, each movement a perfect counterbalance to the other. Garth wielded a blaster with unyielding precision, while Sirius ducked and dodged with the grace of a dancer, her ethereal presence captivating enemies just long enough for Garth to take aim. We need to reach that hill, Sirius called, pointing to a rocky outcrop that towered over the battlefield. From there, we can activate the ancient technology. It can amplify the signal we prepared, pushing our message of peace across the galaxies. As they advanced towards the hill, a sudden explosion erupted nearby, scattering debris and disorienting them. Garth instinctively pulled Sirius close, shielding her with his body as they hit the ground. Stay close, we can't lose sight of each other, he urged, his voice barely breaking above the cacophony of chaos. I see it, Sirius shouted, pointing toward the ancient machinery nestled within the hill, intricate and alien, seemingly untouched by time. She narrowed her eyes, only briefly surveying the battlefield before setting her focus on their objective. We can do this, Garth. Together, they sprinted through the debris and rising smoke, hearts pounding. Just when they reached the base of the hill, a horde of enemies surged toward them. Garth, cover me, Sirius exclaimed, her voice filled with urgency as she scampered up the rocky surface towards the control panel. She was nothing but determination and a singular goal. She believed in their cause. With each blaster shot fired, Garth's heart raced not just from the adrenaline coursing through his veins, but from the sheer gravity of what they were fighting for. I'll hold them off, he called, grit and resolve filling his voice. As moments stretched into eternity, he gunsmoked a path, refusing to let anything come between him and the hope they were about to unleash. But as he turned to check on Sirius, Garth's breath caught in his throat. A charging foe had slipped through the fray and was barreling straight toward her. Sirius, watch out, he cried, desperation lacing his voice. The moment hung heavy. Time slowed as he felt the world fade away, focusing solely on the sight of her. In an explosive moment of instinct, Garth lunged forward, tackling the approaching enemy just as the clash of metal filled the air. Pain radiated through his shoulder, but he didn't flinch, quickly pulling the trigger and dispatching his assailant. Go, activate it now, he grunted, laboring under the weight of his injuries. He could feel the ferocity of their struggle, but the vision of hope sparked in Sirius's eyes held him steady. Almost there, she shouted back, her fingers deftly gliding over the console, activating the ancient technology like she'd done it a million times before. A low hum resonated through the ground as the machinery awoke, responding with a vibrancy that vibrated in the air around them. But then, a shadow loomed above, a flyer of the Mariko faction swooping in, targeting them with laser precision. Garth's heart sank as he spotted the looming threat, realizing they were in its crosshairs. Sirius, now, with a final push, he pushed himself off the ground, staggering but still sending a volley of shots at the flyer, hoping to distract its pilot. Sirius glanced back, her hand hovering over the activation switch, eyes wide with determination. Hold on, she shouted, flipping the last switch. The machinery roared to life, a blinding beam shot skyward, illuminating the battlefield. An ethereal glow expanded outward, enveloping both armies, a sudden stillness settling in like a hush falling over the chaos. At that moment, Garth felt an odd sense of peace washing over him, as if the universe itself had paused to bear witness. Their differences blurred as the signal pulsed, causing warriors to halt in their tracks, eyes glued to the emanating light. We did it," Sirius breathed, astonishment playing over her features, and Garth reached her side, arms feeling weightless amidst the chaos. The energy sustained its crescendo, and as it reached its peak, people's anger evaporated, faces that once held hostility softened. The glowing light enveloped them all, whispering promises of peace and understanding, wrapping around hearts hardened by fear. Yet even in this moment of elegance, Garth felt a shiver wash over him, an underlying whisper that this was only the beginning. The war would not end over one act of defiance against the tide of hatred. He turned to Sirius just as the lights dimmed, determination rekindled in their eyes. But deep in the distance, Garth could still sense the looming threat of those who sought chaos, the darkness waiting at the edges of their universe. "What happens now?" he asked, uncertainty tinging his voice as they stood in the aftermath of the pulse, a world transformed. "Now, we rebuild," Sirius replied, confidence weaving its way back into her words. "We have created an opportunity for unity. It's time to gather those who wish for peace and forge a true alliance." And there, under the streaks of fading light and remnants of battle, they clasped hands, feeling the renewed heartbeat of a new dawn, one filled with promise. The weary warriors around them began to lower their weapons, looking at each other with newfound understanding. "Together, we can face whatever comes next," Garth whispered, mirroring the unfurling petals of resolve that bloomed amidst adversity. A lingering mystery wove itself into the fabric of their world, coiling just beyond the horizon of hope. And thus, with faith in each other and the strength of their bond, they prepared to face the unknown ahead, the universe's mysteries waiting to be unraveled, holding their breath in anticipation of what would come next. Leaving the lingering questions of destiny and the promise of more uncharted adventures, the universe now twinkled a little brighter, ready for the next chapter of their journey together. If you liked this story based on real events, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to like it. Here you can dive into a different reality every day, where anything can happen. Comment below what kind of story you would like to hear here. Thank you very much for your attention. We are the Sci-Fi family.